everybody! Today, Honey is going to continue reading The Beast and the Bethany, written by Jack Maggie Phillips and illustrated by Isabella Follett. Part 11, The Stupid Idiot. Ebenezer told Bethany everything. He explained that he had adopted her because she seemed like a horrible girl who deserved to be eaten, and he told her that he had fed her mountains of it because the beast wanted something fat to eat. It was tricky for him to confess the truth, but it was even trickier for Bethany to hear it. But why? The only thing she could say after he had finished speaking. Because the only thing I've ever wanted from life is more life, he said bitterly. More things, more years to live, more good looks, more everything. You're a child, so you have no idea how scary it is to get older. And this is my worst nightmare, he said, pointing to his own body. I've always been terrified of aging, of losing my looks, of dying before I have a chance to do everything I want to do. So when the beast offered me a chance to keep on living in return for a few small favors, I immediately said yes. Small favors, said Bethany in a small voice. That's nothing small but feeding a child. It didn't start out like this. At first, all the beast wanted to was bring it some interesting meals to eat. Some plates of roast beef and a chicken pie or two, that sort of thing. Then it wanted to know what it was like to eat living things. First insects, then small animals and rats and pigeons. And it got bigger, so did its appetite. There was times when I was very uncomfortable, like with Lord Tibbles, but my life was always more important to me than anything else. And what about me? Am I another Lord Tibbles? Asked Bethany. No, you're much worse than Lord Tibbles, he answered. Lord Tibbles was a kind and noble cat, whereas you think it's funny to ruin paintings, steal comics, and demand obscene amounts of chocolate cake. If you're 1 ounce like Tibbles, then I would have never picked you at the orphanage. Bethany was a tough girl, but she was tough enough to hold back the tears which trickled from her eyes. It's never nice to hear someone thinks you deserve to be eaten. But I thought you liked me? She asked in a wobbling voice. I didn't, in fact. I was looking forward to serving you to the beast, said Ebenezer. More tears trickled from Bethany's eyes, and a sob escaped her from her throat. Ebenezer stood up and sighed. But for some ridiculous reason, which I don't understand, I like it now. Bethany looked up. There was a glimmer of hope in her tear-sodden eyes. Very unfortunately, you're not quite as awful as I wanted you to be, explained Ebenezer, and I suppose you're actually quite fun to spend time with. I think that maybe, just maybe, as silly as sounds, that this house and my life might feel a little empty if you weren't in it. Ebenezer and Bethany looked at each other and smiled. Then Bethany punched him in the stomach. You stupid idiot, she shouted, punching again. She kept punching until he fell back on the sofa. She picked up a cushion and started bashing him over the head with it. How dare you try to feed me to the beast? How dare you say those nasty things about me, she said, bashing him over the head and again. It was time for tears to trickle from Ebenezer's eyes. He had been never very good at dealing with pain. Bethany kept bashing and shouting until her arms and voice were bashed and shouted no more. She slumped into the seat next to Ebenezer, out of breath and out of insult. They both stayed sitting there for a while. Ebenezer shed tears of pain, while Bethany let out ones of anger. What do we do now? She asked, after the tears had dried. Run away, he answered. There's nothing else to do. But where are we running to? Not sure. I haven't given the plan much thought. Betsy smiled. Running away from someone was one of the last items left on the bucket list. Do we really have to leave the house? He asked. It's not like the beast can chase after us. The beast can move when he wants to, but there's no telling that other tricks it gets stored in his belly. No, it's too dangerous for you to stay. Go upstairs, fetch a suitcase, and be careful not to give the beast any sign of what's happening. Bethany went to the first floor and paid a visit to the luggage room. After a few minutes of searching, she finally selected a black rucksack with a small brown suitcase with the initials PB on them. What does the letter stand for? She asked when she returned downstairs. Peruvian bear, or something like that, belonged to the charming little chap when I brought to the beast a year ago, said Ebenezer. He paused. Gosh, I really am a terrible person. Whilst Bethany was upstairs, Ebenezer had made a pile of things on the downstairs sitting room, which he thought she might find useful. The pile contained a change of clothes, a few slices of chocolate cake, a pair of binoculars, and a fly swatter. Ebenezer went to his safe, which was located behind one of the fridges, and opened it. It was lined with neat stacks of 1,000 notes. He filled Bethany's rucksack until the zips were almost at bursting point. It was about £1,000,000. Should hopefully be enough to last you a couple of weeks. How are you so rich? Asked Bethany. Are you a bank robber? No, it's all from the beast. Now, shh, we don't have time for questions. Ebenezer packed Bethany's suitcase with a pile of things and added a few other items, including a few of her unread comics and a packet of biscuits. He picked up Miss Fezziwig's box and brought it over the suitcase. Is there anything in here you want? He asked. I thought we didn't have time for questions, she answered. Shh, we don't have time to make clever jokes, or stupid ones for that matter. Bethany looked inside the box, which contained the 12 bags of liquids, the unwanted books, the milk which was now beginning to smell, sweet trumpets, and the various items from that Miss Fezziwig had tried to steal for her office. There was nothing inside there worth carrying around. Won't Miss Fezziwig want this? Asked Bethany. Where is she anyway? Dead, I'm afraid, Ebenezer. Sorry, I should have told you sooner. The beast ate her, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. Are you upset? Bethany wasn't. She had never liked Miss Fezziwig, or her obsession like ladylike behavior, so she really wasn't sad, but she thought that probably should be. Oh yeah, of course, said Bethany, very sad. Ebenezer hadn't liked Miss Fezziwig that much either, but he felt a need to play along. Gosh, it's really a pity she's gone, he said. She was such a wonderful person. They were both quiet for a moment or two as they wondered how much time they should leave before changing the topic of conversation. Bethany was the first to break the silence. I really didn't like the sound of being eaten, said Bethany. Yes, the sounds of someone being eaten are usually horrid. Lots of screams and yelps. Glad to have you escape. Have you decided where we're going yet? She asked. We're going nowhere. You'll have to go alone, he has said. There's no telling what the beast will do once it finds what's happened. I'll stay here to distract it. Besides, my body's too old to any sort of running. I'll only slow you down. Well, what's gonna happen to you when I go? I'll probably make myself a cup of purple tea and head to bed. And then I suppose at some point tomorrow I'll join Miss Fezziwig in the land of the dead. Bethany gasped. She knew that Ebenezer was getting older, but she hadn't had any idea that he was so little time left. No, there's no time to worry, he said. 512 years is no more than enough for me. Come on then, off you pop. Ebenezer opened the door for Bethany and motioned her to leave. He was putting on the best brave face, determined not to reveal how scared he was of death. But it wasn't work. Bethany saw right through him. I'm not going, she said. You are, he said firmly. I'm ordering you to leave. Bethany shrugged off her backpack and emptied the contents of the suitcase on the floor. She slammed the door that Ebenezer was trying to hold open. I'm never very good at following instructions, she said, and I'm not going to let you die alone. The end of Ebenezer. Ebenezer woke up the next morning feeling pretty sorry for himself. He had begged Bethany to leave, but she wasn't having any of it. Every time he attempted to reasoning with her, she just folded her arms and blew raspberries at him. Ebenezer was also feeling sorry for himself because he was looking and feeling like someone who should be died a few centuries ago. His limbs were aching, his eyes were barely working, even the monocle pushed right in his eye. And there wasn't a part of his body which wasn't infested with wrinkles. He should have happily spent the day in bed, groaning and feeling sad, but Bethany had other ideas. She burst into the room with a saucepan and started whacking at it with a wooden spoon. Wake up, wake up, wake up, she shouted. I'm already awake, you leave me alone, he grinned. Bethany didn't do such thing. She started jumping on the bed, continued to whack anything away at the pan. With great effort, with little enthusiasm, Ebenezer sat up. What is it? He asked. I want to save your life. I stayed awake all last night and I have some ideas, said Bethany. She fished in her pocket and brought out a crumpled piece of paper. Dear Jeffrey, she began before realizing that she had the wrong one. She fished out another sheet from her back pocket. Idea number 1. Let's take you to the hospital. Doctors can't help me. Only medical persons can. People aren't meant to live 511, you know, answered Ebenezer. Also, I don't like hospitals or medical equipment. Fine. Idea number 2. Why don't we offer the beast to do it instead of me? Already tried that, said Ebenezer, but it's only interested in you, I'm afraid. Humph. Well, it doesn't matter because my third and final idea is an awesome one anyway. Why don't we try to force the beast into giving you your portion? Ebenezer sighed. He looked at Bethany and wondered how she planned on overpowering a magical, consuming creature. Here's what I was thinking, she said. We go to the orphanage and borrow some of the children. There are ones like me, they're proper naughty ones who aren't afraid of flight. Then you buy us all some catapults and rotten apples. We storm up there and attack the beast until it gives you what you need. What do you think? Utter rubbish. Doesn't work on any level, said Ebenezer. The beast can't be forced to do anything. Okay, I've just thought of totally wicked fourth idea, she began. Great to know about. I'm not quite sure I wanted to spend my last day on Earth hearing about ideas which will never work. Let's go on downstairs. This was easier said than done. It took about 20 minutes for Ebenezer to stand up from bed and another good half of hour to crawl onto the bathroom. By the time he got there, he didn't have the energy to brush his teeth. So Bethany grabbed the toothpaste from the sink and squirted it into his mouth. Ebenezer started to crawl and with Bethany's help made it downstairs. He was exhausted by the time they reached the kitchen. What you want to eat? Asked Bethany. It was a surprisingly difficult question to answer. It's a strange thing to choose what you want to eat for your last ever breakfast on the planet. And Ebenezer was filled with questions. Did he want porridge? Would a croston prove a better choice? Should he all go to treat himself to a spot of fried keeper? Ebenezer deterred it for too long, so Bethany made the decision for him. She brought out a plate of squashed muffin sandwiches and a cup of purple tea. This was not a meal that Ebenezer had in mind, but before he could make the compliment, their breakfast was interrupted by an unpleasant noise. The beast was ringing its bell. Ebenezer and Bethany's faces grew a little paler. Both did their best to ignore the sound, but it felt wrong. Ebenezer had spent the best part of 500 years answering its every call, whilst Bethany found it impossible to try and ignore a creature that planned to eat her alive. The bell continued to ring. Ebenezer's heart pounded in his chest, and heads of sweat oozed from his wrinkled brow. Bethany bit her lips to stop herself from screaming in terror. They both longed more than anything for the ringing to stop. After 10 minutes, it did. The silence was even worse. It made them suspect that Beast was up to something horrid. "What do you think it's doing?" asked Bethany. "Planning its next move," answered Ebenezer. They listened for the return of the bell, but the sound never came. "That's probably good news, isn't it?" asked Bethany. She didn't believe her own wolves. "Yes, I suppose it must be," said Ebenezer, even though he knew it meant nothing of the kind. Ebenezer began to squash the muffin sandwich. He was too focused on the beast to worry about how his last breakfast tasted. "Maybe this means that the beast is trapped up there?" asked Bethany. "Maybe," answered Ebenezer. "Or might mean the breakfast was interrupted again." But this time by a sound which far closer, more disturbing into their ears. The baby grand piano, the one that the beast had vomited out for Ebenezer to put on his front window, was playing a song. The tune was loud and lacked melody. It was sort of a noise a piano makes when a car is dropped onto its keys. Bethany and Ebenezer looked at each other confused. Then they got up to inspect the piano. As they came closer to it, the music got closer and angrier. The keys on the instrument seemed to have life of their own. "How's this happening?" asked Bethany. "It's the beast," said Ebenezer. "It must have some control over the thing it creates." Then, as to agree with Ebenezer's point, the piano started to walk. It scraped its legs, leaving deep marks and scratches on the door, moving towards Bethany and Ebenezer. The piano's movements were slow and uncoordinated, but they were still terrifying. Ebenezer and Bethany quickly backed away, backing into the kitchen, but an unpleasant surprise was waiting for them there as well. Mugs and teapots started leaping out of cupboards, flying at their heads and smashing into the door and the walls. Meanwhile, the fridge were there out of control. Their doors swung open and shut as they started hurling their contents at Ebenezer and Bethany. The pudding and fridges were particularly aggressive and successfully managed to knock Bethany over then once before well-aimed shuffle. "We have to get out of here," she yelled, making a somewhat obvious point. Unfortunately, the piano seemed to know what Bethany had in mind and scurried its way to the front door so it could block their escape route. The pudding fridges detached themselves from the walls and blocked the other exits in the house. "Quick! Help me into the sitting room," said Ebenezer. His voice was faint with exhaustion. Bethany and Ebenezer hobbled into the downstairs sitting room. They were chased every step of the way by the flying section of mugs, cutlery, and other household appliances. Once they reached the front room, Ebenezer slammed the door shut, and Bethany dragged the table and armchair to make sure it wouldn't be opened again. "Well, it's gonna be any better for us in here?" asked Bethany. Ebenezer was too tired to remain standing. He slumped on his sofa and let a long, pitiful groan. His eyes began to drop. "Ebenezer, this is not the time for napping," shouted Bethany. "Trust me, you're safe there in the room," said Ebenezer in a voice that was fainter and creakier than ever. Hardly anything in there came to a beast's belly. "I brought Moses here with money of it and said, you need to get rid of some stuff." The some stuff included a set of snow goggles, a pistol, a dressing gown that was hanging off the back of the door, a flower pot which had no flowers in it, and a game of Ludo. Bethany shoved and locked them into a trunk that was sitting at the back of the room, just as the objects were starting to come to life. "Good, I think that's everything," said Ebenezer. Ebenezer should have sobbed harder. The television switched itself on. It was too high on the wall for Bethany to reach, and Ebenezer's heart was beating too fast for him to even think about standing up. After a brief moment, Ebenezer and Bethany thought that the television might not be an issue. All it did at first was play a cartoon featuring a crime-solving hat and a villainous scarf. "Ooh, I like this one," said Bethany. Then the image on the screen turned gray and started to blur. The dramatic fight scene between the hat and the scarf was replaced with an image of the beast's black eyes, which were shining with fury. "Oh, I don't like this one," said Bethany. The beast took a step so now nearly to his whole face was in the view. He leaned forward and stared to the screen. Ebenezer, where are you, Ebenezer? I'm so hungry, he shouted. Ebenezer didn't answer, but the beast didn't seem to be able to see what was happening on the other side of the television. If you've dined on me, Ebenezer, I'm going to kill you, shouted the beast. With a hoarse voice, he stopped shouting, and all Ebenezer and Bethany could hear was angry, impatient breathing. Bethany reached out the remote control and tried to change the channel back into the cartoon. Then it didn't while she started switching the television off, but it kept switching itself on again. Unplug it, said Ebenezer. This didn't work either. The images of the beast in his attic stayed in the scare. The beast began to speak again, this time changing its approach. Bethany! Oh, Bethany! It could. Come out, little Bethany. Has Ebenezer been a silly sausage and died? Come out to see me, and I can bring it back to life. Ebenezer shook his head. He couldn't believe that the beast was stooping so low. Ooh, and Bethany, guess what? I figured out how to bring your parents back to life. Come up and see me, and I can whisper the secret into your ear. Come here, little Bethany. Ebenezer shook his hand more vehemently. Hello, Bethany, said the beast in a strange, high-pitched voice. I'm your mummy. The beast had brought me back to life. Come on and see me. Gosh, the beast is such a clever, wonderful, charismatic, charming, extraordinary. Ebenezer shook his head with such force that he worried it might fall off. Bethany, meanwhile, dug through Miss Fezziwig's spot until he found a glass bottle of now acidic milk. She carefully aimed it and threw it at the television screen. The glass bottle smashed in pieces, but also smashed the screen. The sinking smelly liquid mingled with the electricity, and the television started to fizzle and spark in the most unhealthy way. Still so, the images of the beast continued to roll. Oh, Bethany, boomed the beast, not doing the best impression of a father's voice. Come to Papa. You'll never see her, Ebenezer shouted back, even though he knew there was no way that the beast would be able to hear him. She's gone far from here. Okay, little Bethany, I'm going to come down to you. Ebenezer gulped. Bethany let out a pained squeal. The beast waddled out of view, only to waddle back a few minutes later. Syrupy sweat rolled off his fat body. It looked frustrated. Well, I can't be expected to walk down 15 flights of stairs, he bellowed. Come out here immediately, Bethany. Bethany didn't go there immediately. Instead, she said whoopee and enjoyed a wrinkled high five with Ebenezer. The beast was fuming. It stomped his feet, and his syrupy sweat boiled with anger until it turned to steam. Ebenezer and Bethany couldn't help themselves from laughing at its helplessness. The laughing stopped when the beast's wicked little smile started to wiggle and hum. First it vomited out a bag of bricks, and it placed in his right. Then bowling ball size of a small room, and then small moon, then it placed to its left. Finally it produced 100-kilometer weight, which was placed immediately in front of his body. The beast was now surrounded by three incredibly heavy objects, but the floor was starting to creak. What's it doing? The beast started to jump. On the third jump, the floor gave way, and the beast and the object disappeared. It fell through the 14th floor. Oh no, please no, said Ebenezer. The beast continued to vomit out heavy objects and jumped its way through the one weak floor to another. Soon it was just 2 floors from reaching Bethany and Ebenezer. We're doomed, said Ebenezer. He clutched his chest and his heart gave out entirely and he collapsed on his sofa. Bethany ran over and tried to wake up. He shook his body and slapped his face until the last moment of life flickered in his face. I'm so terribly sorry, he murmured. It's all my fault. I should have never brought you into the house. Ebenezer squeezed Bethany's hand, and all signs of life disappeared from his body. His breathing stopped, his eyes collapsed shut, and the wrinkly skin faded to an unpleasant gray color. Oh, Bethany! Shouted the beast from the hallway. After it burst through the final ceiling, the beast wants to say hello. Tears poured from Bethany's eyes, and snow streamed from her nose, but she knew that she needed to end this. She let go of Ebenezer's left hand, walked over to Miss Fezziwig's box, and grabbed one of the trumpets and shoved it down the back of her trousers. She was ready to face the beast.